Hey everybody, welcome to this brand new event slash course slash whatever we're calling it this time, the 4-day turning point event. Now, my friend, this is going to get you from where you are to transforming your life and being the man that you want to be in 4 days. Being the husband you want to be, being the father you want to be, being the provider, the spiritual journey that you want to be. That is what this course is going to push you through. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to jump into the PowerPoints that I have, and we're just going to go over them. We're going to talk about them. We're going to kind of go deep dive into what they're talking about. But today I want to talk about first is the pattern. The pattern, when we can see what the pattern is, we can understand, okay, the pattern that I go through every single time that I try to understand the direction, this is where your life transforms. Because if once you understand the pattern, once you understand and go, okay, it starts here, then it goes to here, then we see the pattern, and then it's a repeated kind of occurrence. That is where your life is going to begin. When you want to change your life, you have to understand why it is going the way it is going. And why good men keep falling short is because they have not focused on the pattern. So we're going to get to the next one. Okay, so you are a good man, my friend. Regardless if you feel it sometimes, regardless if you don't. I know there are days that I go through and I'm frustrated. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm a good man. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm a good husband, a good father, a good provider, that being that I want to be. Sometimes I don't feel like I love my wife enough. I love my kids enough. But I work hard every single day trying to kind of create that outcome, create that passion and that love for other people in my life, but I fall short sometimes. And then after a time, I was wondering why. Like, why did I keep falling short of being the man, being the husband, being the provider that I truly wanted to be? And it caused things like it lists here. It caused things like distance in my marriage. It caused things like feeling like you are not really present with your kids. The gap between who you are and who you want to be. This gap has a name, and we call it the pattern. And when we understand the pattern, we understand on how to transform our life. Now, first, let's clear something up. Not being able to be the man that you want to be, not being able to create the life that you want to create, not being the dad, the husband, the father, the provider, you're not broken. It's not a character flaw. You're not broken. What's going on, my friend, is you're running on a pattern that you didn't know that you were running on. And you thought, okay, well, maybe my life is supposed to go in this direction. Or maybe I want to make these changes. And we're actually running and creating a pattern that we didn't actually know how to create, or that we're even living in this pattern. And we're like, okay, next we're gonna use willpower. I'm gonna be more disciplined. I'm gonna try harder. I'm gonna push this. And then we realize over time that trying harder, it didn't break the pattern, right? You've already proven that. You've proven that, you know what, I'm gonna try this. And it didn't work. And you're like, okay, well, I'll try this. And you're like, it didn't work. And we're trying to change the pattern that we're trying to create. We're trying to change the pattern without actually creating that system change to identify, go, okay, what is the pattern that I'm wanting to live? Because willpower, like it says, it works on actions, but not on the root of driving those actions. And when you try to use willpower or your character or certain different things, this pattern is created on a loop. And it goes, you've created it yourself. You're going to have one pattern. I'm going to have a different pattern. And anything learned can be unlearned. And I want you to understand that right now. I'm going to sit here for a second, get you to understand that anything learned can be unlearned once you actually see it. And once you actually go, okay, how do I unlearn this? How do I learn what this pattern is and what it's giving me in my life so that I can begin to create that life and that outcome that I truly want to live? So what is a pattern? A pattern is a loop you keep living, usually without knowing you are in it. So something triggers you, you respond the same way you always have. you get the same results, and then the loop resets and it runs again. Right? This is a loop that you're living through. It's not random, it's wired. And through a wired loop that you created for yourself, you have to learn to unwire the pattern and create this new outcome. Because you built this pattern over years. You constantly go, okay, in this situation, I'm going to react like this. Not consciously, but subconsciously. And then when you do it, your mind goes, okay, yeah, this is how I react. This is how I respond during those situations. And maybe you built it over years from the past experiences. Maybe you saw your father do it and you modeled that. Or maybe you learned to survive emotionally. But whatever the pattern is, my friend, is it runs automatically until you can go, okay, I need to shift this pattern. I need to change and understand, okay, where is this pattern need to change within my life? And until you see it, this pattern is just going to keep running your life. Now, most men spend their whole lives managing the symptoms and they never see the loop. So we go, okay, this is how I felt. This is the situation I'm feeling. And this is how I'm going to respond because that's what the pattern says. But you don't change it. You're like, no, I feel like this, so I'm going to change it into this. But what we need to do is we need to go, okay, where is it that this pattern comes into my life? And when you understand that, that's when you can begin to change that loop. So here's the loop that we all feel. So first we have a trigger. Something happens in your life and you get triggered. Maybe a comment. Maybe someone looks at you funny. Maybe there's a moment of silence, that awkward silence that we all just don't like. Or after you have that comment, that look, the moment, the situation, your thought, you create this story that fires instantly in your head. You interpret it the same way you always do. Someone gave you a look. Oh, what's that person looking at me for? Right? Maybe I'm ugly. Maybe you're self-conscious with yourself. Oh, they're looking at me because I'm ugly. Or, you've done something. There was a comment someone said to you and you're like, oh yeah, you're so right. That is who I am. And you create this thought and this story about yourself that isn't true, but it's on the loop. And then the trigger thought creates a feeling. And then emotion arrives. You get either mad or upset or shut down or withdraw, or you feel shame within yourself. And because you feel like that, you begin to act like that. And you respond from that feeling, not from who you want to be. We all have a person that we want to be. And if we're not living in that lifestyle, if we're not living in that person right now, it's because somewhere along this pattern, the trigger, the thought, the feeling, or the action has created that result. And it's the same outcome that you feel every single time. Let's say someone at work says something about you, or someone at work doesn't say something to you. And you're like, oh, it's just because I'm ugly, or it's just because, I'm not, what would it be? Maybe I'm not wealthy, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. And you constantly are putting yourself down until we begin to go, okay, where am I going wrong in this pattern? You didn't choose this loop. You didn't choose the trigger, thought, feeling, action pattern. But right now, it's choosing it for you. It's going, okay, when I'm triggered by this, then my thought and results and feelings are going to be this. That's how it's triggered. And until you break that trigger, my friend, it's going to stay the same. So here are some examples that I threw out there. One is your marriage. So we'll break down each one. And I think I go next into kids, but we'll get to that. So as a married man, your wife says to you, you seem distant. Your response, no, I'm fine. Or you shut down, or maybe like, yeah, you're right, I am distant. I'm going to go off and be by myself. And then maybe she tries to talk about something that's bothering her. There's another trigger. Your wife goes, you know what? Something's really kind of bothering me about this. And not even about your marriage. It could be something off in left field, something that's bothering her. And you're like, okay, I can fix that. How many men out there know that our wife's not looking to be fixed? She's looking to be listened to, right? So stop trying to fix it. Second, you dismiss it. You know what? That's not really that big of a problem. Well, you know what? To you, it's not a big problem, but maybe it is for her. Or you check out. You're on your phone, doom scrolling, and you're like, okay, yeah, all right, well, that's a problem for you. And then she just stops trying. Or another trigger would be you feel criticized or not appreciated. So instead of going out there and doing the things that you want to do in your life, you withdraw. Or maybe you become a workaholic and you work so much that you can't work on your marriage and you give less. Another trigger could be that there's tension in the house. You walk right through that front door and you're like, man, what did I come into today? What is this feeling that I created? And you're like, I don't even want to go home. So you avoid the room, you avoid the conversation, and then that distance in your marriage grows. Now, this is how the pattern starts, because you've had a thought, you had the trigger, and then your thought and your emotions feel that trigger, which creates that result. I'm going to put this down there. She is not the trigger, right? She's the mirror of showing you the loop, right? She's showing you what is triggering you. So there's something underneath that we need to figure out. So here, like I was saying, what the pattern looks like with your kids. So for the dads out there, your child is loud, messy, or demanding when you're already depleted. How many men out there come home from, a shift at work or whatever, and your kids want something from you? You're like, not right now. Like, I'm busy, and you're just exhausted and you're depleted from that day. Or you're just like, I need to go to the room, or you turn on a sport. I know, my kids can attest to this. I've had those moments where I'm just like, I just wanted to get space. And then afterwards you feel guilty. You're like, man, my kids just wanted me for some time. They wanted me to listen and understand. Or maybe your kid wants your attention, but you're on your phone or in your head, right? You give half of yourself. Dad, can you come do this with me? Yeah, 1 sec. And the sec never happens. They feel it. And then eventually they're like, no, I'm not even going to bother asking dad anymore, because he's just going to say in a sec or later, right? Maybe you missed something important, a game, a moment, a conversation, because you had to work or something came up. And you tell yourself, you know what? I'm doing this for them. But something in you knows that, are you? Or maybe another trigger is you try to connect, but it feels forced or feels awkward. That's how it was in the beginning with me and my boys. When I lost Lucas years ago, I was very disconnected because I didn't want to connect strongly and then have me lose these boys, my sons right now, because I'm like, I can live life like that. So I had to really try to change that thought loop, the pattern, so that I can begin to create and have that life with the boys that I have. Because in the beginning, my friend, it did feel awkward. So I'm like, I don't even want to have this conversation. So I retreated into what was easier, and then distance became your default. Your children do not need a perfect father. We are not perfect dads out there. No one's perfect dads out there. But they need someone to be in that room with them and to play with them and to hang out with them and to be present when they are looking for that father figure. So why good men stay stuck in this loop, right? We're too close to see it. I love this analogy I put is you cannot read the label from inside the jar. You can't read the label from inside the jar. So if you're in the situation and you're living inside that pattern, it is so invisible to you. You can't see what's kind of going on. And it feels like, yeah, this is just who I am. This is just life. Or you try to fix the surface, not the source. This is one of the big ones I've found with my clients is they've been trying to fix things on the surface. If I just change, like I said before, willpower, or if I change how I'm feeling, or if I change, if I'm not mad this one time, I'll be good, right? These new habits, better communication, maybe a date night to reconnect with your wife, all good things, but none of them touch the root. And over time, your pattern is just going to come back to the way it was. They confuse effort with change. Working harder on the wrong level is not progress. A man can exhaust himself doing the right things for the wrong reason and end up exactly where you started. If you're not focusing on the lower part or the root problem of your situation, you're just going to keep reoccurring with this pattern. And number 4 is what we're doing today, my friend. No one ever showed you the loop, right? It's not taught. Like, how many people have ever heard about the thought loop before this, right? I know I didn't. Before I started teaching this, people are like, what? It's like, yeah, this is a sub-system pattern that we all have. And people are like, I don't get it. So it's not a conversation that most men have had, and you were never shown how to see the pattern. And that's what we want to do over the next 4 days here, my friend. So what the pattern is actually costing you in your marriage. She feels alone in the relationship with someone who is physically present, but the emotional distance, they are both you breathe. I know that there's been times in my marriage that I've been emotionally distant, and we start being partners and we become housemates or roommates, and it's hard to get back into that because you've created that pattern. And getting out of the pattern, my friend, I want to tell you right now, is not easy. But it is very simple if you do it in certain stages. With your kids, they feel the version of you that is distracted, irritable, and halfway there. The moments you can't get back are happening right now. The moment you can't get back are happening right now. How many fathers out there go, I wish I had more time with my kids. I wish I didn't miss those moments. Well, you start today and you create those moments now, because regret is something that you can't change in the future. Childhood is not waiting for you to sort yourself out. Your child aren't going to stay little forever going, oh, you know what, dad, when dad is ready, then he'll come back and I'll still be like this. No, it doesn't work like that. You are going to miss your kids. And that's why this pattern is so important. And then in yourself, probably should have started with this one, because you carry a low self-shame that you can't name. Why do I always feel like this? Why can't I push through? Why can't I be the man that my kids, my wife are looking for? And there's a gap between who you are and who you know should be. And it becomes heavier and heavier when you're not focused on it. Just the weight carries you down. And you get quieter and quieter about it. But my friend, it doesn't go away. It's still there. And you're like, why am I feeling like this? Right? I'm working on my willpower. I'm working on this. But why can't I get past this? And the pattern is not just costing you. It's costing the people you love most. Let's go on the next slide. So where the pattern comes from. You did not build this pattern. I want to really dive deep into that right now, my friend. You didn't build this pattern. You inherited it, right? Maybe your father. How did he handle emotion? How did he handle conflict? How did he partake in your life? Was he present? Was he absent? Was he always working? Whether he showed up or did he shut down? You watched it, and your nervous system subconsciously went, yeah, that's how a father is supposed to act. That's how I'm supposed to be as a dad. But maybe you look around and you see people in this world, you see others around you, and you're like, look how strong that relationship is with that man and his kids. I wish I had that in my life. But I don't know how to do it. That's not who I am. And that's why when you take the experiences from your life and you begin to change them within your life, that's when it changes. Your early experiences, the moments that taught you it was not safe to be vulnerable, right? How many men out there, and I've been working as a first responder for over a decade, and you don't show your emotion there. And if you don't show your emotion in the place that you actually are more, for all those first responders out there know what I'm talking about. You don't show your emotions at work. But then you've been there for, 8, 12, 16 hours, firefighters 24, and then you come home and you're supposed to shut that off. It doesn't work like that. You'll have to create a different pattern and a different system so that who you are at work is the same man that you are at home, right? This lesson that said strength means silence is not true. It's not true. And you need to open up and you need to be that man that your family is looking for. What about the culture around you? Uh, we don't talk about this as men. Men push through, men provide, men do not need. You absorbed all of that and you built that version of yourself around survival mode. You're like, yes, I need to just make it to this next phase. I need to make it to the next person, but I'm not being that man. I'm not being that person because that's the culture around you that says, no, you can't be that like that. And understanding where it came from, that's not an excuse, right? It's your map. Oh, my dad was just like this. Or, well, that's just kind of what I've been through in my life, so that's who I am. Or this culture around me, the people around me, this is just it's not an excuse, my friend. It's an opportunity to step into that man that I know that you can be and become that man that I know that you can be. So how do we begin to do that? This is where the pattern lives. And this is the life's operating system. For those of you who have followed me and know my teachings, I teach a lot on these three areas, your head, heart, and your body. So we'll start with the head. What it looks like. The pattern lives in your thinking. It lives in everything you think about. If you're someone who believes that, yeah, you're not good enough, or you're not a present dad, or your dad has taught you how to be a dad, but that's who you are. This is where it is. So signs like overthinking, rumination, which is rethinking the same thought over and over again, catastrophizing, right? You think about the worst possible situation, which is what I did in the beginning with my kids. When my son was born, after I'd lost my first one, I catastrophized. Well, I can't connect with him because if I lose him, that'll be the end of the world. How often? You can't live like that. A critical thought about yourself runs constantly underneath everything. Your internal story is working against you. You're telling yourself these thoughts, and you have to begin to change that. The thought fires. This is the key thing. It sticks because your thought fires even before you notice it. And the heart, your emotions react just as fast. So by the time you're reacting, the pattern is already 3 steps ahead of where you go, okay, well, so for an example, like your son does something or your daughter does something and you yell at them. It's like, oh, why do you do that? And it's like, oh, why did I say that again? I wasn't wanting to go down that road. But you're reacting, you're not responding, and your thought was already done a while before the situation even ended. And then we slide into your heart. The pattern lives in how you feel and what things mean to you. You feel things like intensity and do not know what to do with them. Like you're intense towards your kids, you're intense towards your wife, or you feel nothing, completely numb. Either way, your emotions are running the show. And once you understand that your head goes to your heart, goes to how you act, that is when you can shift your life. Because you didn't choose what things mean to you. You were taught. Okay, well, this situation, it's like grief. This was a big thing for me and my wife. And I know I talk a lot about Lucas on this in this course, but I wanted to really bring some real world examples out here for you. And after my son died, my wife and we kept hearing people say, it's like, how are you feeling the way you're feeling? You just lost your son. Or so a comment like that would really get into our head and into our heart. And we're like, yeah, why are we feeling this good? And then we would kind of go down, but it was part of our process because you can't feel in that kind of symptom for long because it'll eat you up. And what you have to do is you have to move forward from it because you didn't choose what things mean to you. You were taught. So people were saying, yeah, if this happens in your life, this event happens, this is how you are supposed to react. And those meanings fire instantly before you can go, well, you know what? That's not who I want to be, or that's not how I want to act. So I'm going to start changing the pattern. And then it comes into your body. The pattern lives in your habits and your automatic responses. So you think a thought, you feel that thought, and then you're acting that way. So, your kids spill milk. You already brought stuff home from work, so you're already frustrated, and now you're yelling. It's an automatic response. It happens like within a blink of an eye. So you have to go, okay, you react before you think. You do things you swore you would stop doing. Your behaviors are on autopilot even when you know better. And this is where the pattern lives, my friend. This is why willpower fails, because you can't think your way out of a body level pattern. Your nervous system is faster than your conscious mind. So when you want to go, I don't want to think like this. If this happens, I'm not going to respond like this. I'm not going to respond like this. But you're creating that. You have to really sit down, and we get into this, and focus on that pattern. So here's the reason why nothing has worked prior to coming to this amazing 4-day training. So first, this is where most men work. We're going to create a new morning routine. We're going to push through harder. We're going to have better communication scripts. We're going to read the right books. We're going to make promises to do better. We're going to manage the behavior that we're having. This is where a lot of people are working, but everything is deeper than that, my friend, right? This is where the work actually needs to go on to. The thought. What is that thought that is driving that behavior? What is the meaning firing that emotion? What's the root? Not the symptom, not the situation or how you feel, not the symptom of what's happening, but what's underneath that? Why are you reacting the way you're reacting? The story beneath the reaction. We want to understand that. The identity, not just the action and the loop itself. Changing your behavior without changing the root is like cutting a weed at the stem and just trusting that it's not going to happen again. Okay, I'm going to go weed eat, and I'm just going to cut the top of this weed, and I'm just going to trust that it's not going to grow back. It grows back every time because you haven't gone deeper. You haven't gone to the stem. You haven't cut it off, which one matters most. You can break the pattern, and hear how it starts. So we'll jump into how to break this pattern now. First, you have to see it, because you can't break what you cannot see. The first move is always awareness. So you name the loop exactly as it runs. Name the root. So we've seen it. Now we want to name it. Is it a thought? Is it a meaning? Is it a body level reaction? Which part of that trigger set is it going? Is it mind, heart, or body? Where is it in there that you need to work on? And then locate where the pattern actually lives, not where it shows up. So you could react a certain way, which is body, but it could start with a thought. So you have to figure out, okay, where does this pattern actually start? So yelling at your kids could be because you are frustrated or something happened at work. Now, your action doesn't work. So you have to figure out, okay, what happened? How do I transform into being at home? But again, we get into that. Choose differently once. You do not need to change your whole life. And this is where a lot of men get frustrated, is they're like, I need to become this perfect man. I need to change everything that's going on. And it's not true. You need to figure out one pattern and go, okay, what is the biggest thing in my life that I know I need to change? And you need to respond differently in that moment. So, for example, you come home and maybe you like silence, or you go into your room, or you turn on the TV and just ignore your family, or whatever it is for you. Find out what that pattern is and go, okay, how do I respond differently? Maybe you walk inside and give your wife a hug and a kiss. Maybe you walk in and ask the kids, hey, how was your day today? And you focus on someone else in that moment instead of hibernating into what you know. And that single moment is where the pattern breaks. So this begins to build your new loop. So you go, okay, this is the man I want to be now. So every new response is going to weaken that old pattern. Every time you choose differently, you're writing a new story, one decision at a time. So let's say that is your plan. Let's say you want to have a better marriage. Let's work on our marriage. And you go, okay, every time I get home from work, I'm going to come in and give a kiss to my wife. I'm going to tell her I missed her, and I love her, and then I'm going to go off and have a shower or get changed or whatever. Starting that is going to build that intimacy, build that communication, build that relationship so much more than just walking by and going, yeah, I'm home, and then going outside, right? My wife does something, or has done something And she would always greet me at the door when I got home from work. She doesn't know how much this makes me feel. It's a game to us in some situations because I always try to beat her inside before she can get outside, but it's done out of love, and it's grown our marriage. And that simple act, that simple pattern that was created has created a stronger intimacy and stronger bond with our marriage. So find something within your marriage that you can begin to build that loop. So today, that is it, right? We talked about the pattern. You named it. Okay. Was it your head? Was it your heart? Was it your body? Now, for most men, this never happens. You live inside that pattern your whole entire life without actually ever seeing it from the outside. And now you've done it. You kind of understand what the pattern is, that we all have a different pattern. Now, for those of you who have registered for this course, go and get the workbook. It's down below in the description. You can have access to it and go work on this. Go figure out what that pattern is for you. Map your pattern, name the trigger, count the costs, locate where it lives, but you're not writing an essay. Okay, you're telling the truth about what is happening. And I want you to really understand that for yourself. I want you to go, okay, how do I begin to live this person I want to live like? This is not something you're going to share with me. You're going to share with the world. Be honest within this workbook for yourself. And that, my friend, is going to change your life. That's all it takes. Honesty. And you just showed that you have that because you are here on this course and that you're beginning to change your life. So tomorrow, we're going to jump into the root. So what is actually driving that gap and why changing anything else first is not working? We want to dive deep underneath, right? First, we're going to discover the pattern, which we're doing today. Tomorrow, we're going to do the loop, and then we're going to jump into the other two areas. This is a full package. This 4-day turning point course is going to change your life. It's going to change how you are and who you are and really create that outcome that you're longing for. My friend, thank you for being on here. I appreciate you all. And go out there and begin to create that and become the man that you want to be. Remember, trust yourself. You got this.